Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and we've had now daily daylight savings time, so that means that I have an hour more to make videos a day. That's fun. I did have to wake up in the equivalent of 5 in the morning today because of the time and because I went to an ethics course today. Now, this has nothing to do with the subject of the video. We're going to be talking about my neuropsychiatric, basically my autism assessment, also ADHD assessment, but I did not get diagnosed with ADHD. I'm going to try to go through it. It's quite long, but first of all, it talks about, well, what's the question? The question is autism and ADHD. Oh, also, by the way, this happened, they said, from September. It was basically the whole of September 2024. And they say that I got a referral from one region to the other because I did this whole thing in Stockholm when actually I do not live in Stockholm. And then they said that they did an interview with patient and with parents. My parents were not interviewed, which is kind of a minus. It was actually that they're not allowed to make international phone calls. I don't know why, really, because, they would be able to call people not internationally, but because my parents don't live in Sweden, they just sent, very weird also, that they sent a questionnaire about my childhood, where my mom could add on certain things. She could write in free text, but she had mostly like just questions to answer on a scale to 1 to 10 or yes or no questions. So it wasn't an interview, but it was information from my parents. They also went through all of my medical history that they had. They did a drug screening and a blood sample for alcohol markers. Basically, they made me pee at the place, and then they analyzed it. They also looked at screening tests. However, it's not like they did screening tests there. It was basically, like a kind of half of intelligence tests, and then the AOS, RS, and the RADS score. That was all, which I'd done prior to my visits in Stockholm. Then they had a doctor who did a psychiatric, he looked up me psychiatrically, not really this in detail. They said that he did a structured psychiatric interview with Mini 7.0, which Mini is the psychiatric screening manual, and it's supposed to be short, but it's quite long actually. And he did not go through Mini with me. He basically asked, I had to fill in a questionnaire about depression, a questionnaire about anxiety, and basically so that we couldn't say that my depression or anxiety was a reason for my symptoms. That's basically it. And then he asked me certain questions about my mental health, but he did not go through Mini because I know the questions in Mini as I'm a doctor myself, and I have administered the Mini test to patients. So, and he also asked me about my bodily diseases, or you could say conditions, and also he has asked me about addictions that I may or may not have. They were very clear on if you are taking drugs, they will, or if you're drinking too much alcohol, that it affects your blood samples. that they will not go further with the autism or ADHD assessment because that can falsify the results. So it's important to know that, because it would be so stupid if you had waited for a year or more and then that you can't get an autism or ADHD diagnosis because of that. So I'm just warning you guys, if your providers don't tell you, please make sure that you're drug-free, alcohol-free before you do your assessment, because they will test for that kind of thing. And then they did cognitive testing with VICE-4, which is the intelligence test, you could say, and structured interview around symptoms for ADHD, and with DIVA 5.0, and structured interview for symptoms of autism with IDA, IDA, which I've also seen before. It wasn't that structured as it is in the DIVA and the IDA, but these were the questions that I was asked kind of vaguely. So the background, the problem, they say the problem situation. Ingrid has a hard time with taking care of things in their daily life, and it hinders her from her life. She needs help with expectations and how to take care of her energy levels. She has difficulty to manage in daily life and in work. She has periods where she's been burnt out and has been on sick leave. She's been referred to for, to do an autism and ADHD assessment. They say, I'm 28, I live here. She works as a resident at a general practice clinic, and the goal is to become a doctor. Then they talk about how my psychiatric history, where I had contact with the student health when I was around 20. I had contact with the company healthcare. I've had anxiety and even some depression. I've even had problems that seem like burnout certain times. Then I talk about my growing up. I grew up with my parents in France. I have a brother. I speak English with my mom, Swedish with my dad, and French at school. Then they talk a little bit about how I grew up as a small child. No problems during pregnancy. I was born, it's interesting because I found out that it was week 36 that I was born, and I was 3 kilos. I grew normally as an infant, and no complications at the pregnancy, and at the, everything went quickly. I had no diseases. I had my vaccination. I slept normally. I could do fine motoric skills and big motoric skills. I grew up in France with my parents, and that's why I got I got exposed for different languages, but I managed to learn all the language within the normal span of time. So I did not have any speech delays. And then they talk about social development. It was difficult for Ingrid to get used to a preschool. Her mom did work so that she could support Ingrid and let her be home a lot, which is kind of true. It is kind of true. My mom just thought that that was okay and it was normal. But actually she was at home a lot to take care of me, which I'm grateful for, but I don't know why she finds like that was no cause for concern. She's always, she has never liked to be around people, and even when she started school, she did not like big concentrations of children. She always sat alone in the same corner and she wanted to play alone. She didn't understand the other girls' um, games and she stayed away from them. She never said anything when she was in a group. She didn't interact on her own initiative with others. There was this one boy that sometimes went to talk to her, but she didn't really speak at all. And the teachers didn't even know if she could French after the first year. During the time in preschool, she had few friends. The teachers said that she stayed inside without taking part in the games. She could sit alone and cry. She spoke so little that they repeated themselves. When she was little, Ingrid liked role-playing games and fantasy games. She was creative and liked to create. Like she liked little arts and crafts. When she started school, it went better with her her friends, and she had a few close friends. She didn't like small talk. She never liked small talk, but she could follow the social codes even if she didn't herself take any initiative. She took less social initiatives and followed others. She was an introvert and was often friends with more extroverted friends. She was more of a follower than a leader. Ingrid has always had a small group of friends. So she has had difficulty taking initiative. She finds that her whole life she's had a hard time making new friends and even hard time keeping friends. It has been drama and conflicts that Ingrid does not understand, and the relationships have disappeared. She had a few friends during the whole school time, and she didn't keep contact with the other people in her class. She was bullied a whole part of her primary school time, and she describes they could go a whole year without her speaking to certain of her, without speaking with her class friends, which isn't really true, but there are certain people I just would avoid completely. So it's not like I didn't talk at all. I talked with people that I liked, but I didn't talk to certain people. She was probably depressed big part of her teenage life. She wanted to be alone after being at school and was often not with her friends after the school day, which is it's not really my choice because I was kind of in an environment that was in a town, in a city. So it wasn't often that you would like drive over to a person's house. Like I would have needed an adult to take me there. It's not like I would hang out at other people's houses after school. But I guess that's what some people do. I don't know. I played violin and got some friends through that, but was never friends with them outside of the violin lessons. She experienced her whole during her whole childhood that she had a hard time understanding the social games that girls had. She didn't understand the discussion. She couldn't keep up. She didn't understand the intrigues between different people and was not interested in being part of it. She could be seen as snobby and as a snob, and she didn't understand why. She thought that she was good at reading others, but then she realized afterwards that she had missed a lot. She could explain things. She could say things that were actually supposed to be secret, and had a hard time saying white lies. She would answer honestly because she thought that was the only thing that she could do. She was timid and shy and would answer other people's questions but not take her own initiative. She did not like small talk and gossip. She wanted discussions that had more substance. She didn't, here they say, she did never interrupted in conversations, which I definitely did. Okay, and I did say that, so I did not like that they said that. Okay. She did not have a bad eye contact, but okay, I think that they made a mistake. I think that they meant that she did not have normal eye contact, and that she often looked down and seemed shy. She had difficulties to read nonverbal communication. She was nice, naive, and trusted others, which meant that other children could take advantage of her. She has often experienced really uncomfortableness in social situations. Ingrid wanted to do things right, and she found it very important with rules and thought that other children seemed to not care about rules at all. Ingrid liked school and had easy to learn in school. She had no help in school and managed school with good grades. She had easy time remembering information. She also had a good capacity to focus on in classes and worked actively and autonomously. She had easy time with theoretical subjects, but had difficulty with PE and exercise because she had a hard time with throwing and catching things. She had no problems to listen or to sit still in classes. There was not a lot of group work, which worked well for her because I could avoid the group work. She hated to speak in front of the class. The teachers often said to my parents that Ingrid needs to talk more and take more initiative and engagement in class. Ingrid did a lot of the schoolwork on her own. She didn't need any reminders. I think I did need the reminders, but I created my own reminders. I didn't have my parents remind me. Reminders to do the homework or to study for exams. She was often very stressed over her homework and took it she took it very seriously, which is true. I was extremely stressed. That's the reason why I remembered to do all of it, because it just took over my life. Ingrid had good organization in her school material, and she took everything with her to and from school on her own, which is true, but that's because I was so scared of getting a reprimand. Like, if I'd taken things a little bit less seriously, I probably would have forgotten some things. She was always in time at school because she was so scared of coming late. Yeah, I would come 15 minutes early for school every day because I was so scared of coming late. Nowadays, I'm not. She was always at school and she never skived off lessons. Then we come to my high school. She started an international high school in a science line with 6 hours extra English a week, which meant that she worked 40-hour work weeks. There were a lot of people in her school that did not manage the tempo and they had to change school. She could learn things well in high school, even if the tempo was really high, and she felt that it was difficult. Ingrid did all of that schooling alone, and she would sometimes need help from her parents, basically my dad, to understand certain subjects. She had good grades, but basically I needed to get my dad to help me with my math homework because it was too hard for me. My hobbies Ingrid liked to read about animals, science, and Harry Potter books. She liked ballet when she was little, and she liked to sing. She liked to play the violin. This is something that my mom has written. I had other interests too, but these were the ones that my mom said, apparently. Perception. The parents noted no hypersensitivity in perception when Ingrid was a child. Ingrid has always been anxious. She cried a lot and describes herself as sensitive. She wanted things to be the way that she was used to and hated big changes, which is true. But it's kind of interesting that my parents noticed no hypersensitivities, no sensory differences, because this, I remember things being a big thing for me, and they didn't notice at all, or my mom didn't notice at all. Then it comes to work. After high school, she had a semester of medicine in France, but it was a lot of competition, and she started studying medical school at Karolinska Institute. She went to the medical school program 5.5 years without pauses, was very used to a high tempo in schooling. She thought that medical school went well. She lived in other people's houses half of her study time, and then she could live on her own in a student apartment. She thought it was very difficult to live with other people. She preferred to be alone in her own room, and had a hard time taking care of the cleaning at home. After she took her exam, she worked as a junior doctor. Then she did her internship, and then she went back to the same general practice clinic where she's working right now. She describes that she's been more or less burnt out since her teenage years. Some periods she's felt okay, and some have been worse, but she's never been completely good. She was on sick leave in 2023, part-time, a short amount of time. Now we get to my time, my current self, so I'm going to do that in a separate video. So this was my childhood described in this report. Tell me what you guys think. How has autism affected you as a child? Is there anything that maybe your parents have missed that you don't? Is there anything else that maybe that was in your assessment that was not in mine? I'd be interested to hear. So have a great day, everybody. Bye.